Well, howdy folks, welcome back to the Eagle's Nest. We got a cool rifle we're testing out today. It is a complete Benchrest build, chambered in 6.5 PRC. Stick around, you guys will like this one. So the action that we're using is made by Kauger Arms. That's K-A-U-G-E-R. It's pronounced Kauger. They were made in Hazelhurst, Georgia. Now this is a BR2 action. It does have a trigger hanger to adjust your lock timing. And the bolt that you see here is the chain link version. So it does have an oversized bolt knob. The cool thing about this action that it is a single feed. There is no magazine well here, but it does have a large left-handed ejection port or left-handed load port. The ejection will be on the right for the spent case. So this is a Benchrest build that we're doing out of this action, and looking very promising with this barrel. For this build, we are using a Krieger barrel. Now this is a very heavy contour, 1-inch 250 thou, all the way straight to 30 inches. So a very heavy contour. Just finished up the tenon work here. The chamber job is done. And what I'm showing here is how straight this barrel is. So with the chamber indicated, you can see the outside diameter on the muzzle side is running true as well, within 1.5 thou. Not only is the outside diameter of this barrel super straight, the inside bore is also within 1.5 to 2 thou, as indicated with the range rod. So this barrel is in exceptional shape, super straight for what it is. Now the threads, since this is a complete Benchrest build, I have the threads pretty much tapered to give a very snug fit. There's zero play on this, as you can see. The mark that you see on the left side is the high side curvature of the bore. I do have it to where when you torque the action down, it's going to time up exactly right at 6 o'clock. Now with the rifle all put together, got the action torqued on to the barrel, got a nice polished finish on that barrel. Now how I have this headspace, and this is a go gauge from PTG. Go gauges are about 2 thou over the SAMI drawing, and it is super tight. Now it will pass a go gauge if I give it some force. You can see here where this would be considered on a regular rifle build to be too tight where you need to headspace it, but this will pass down, as you can see here. So it's right at the minimum, and the reason why I actually have it set this tight is because this is a Benchrest build, and I'll show you why with a live round. So here's some factory ammunition, 6.5 PRC. This is the, I believe, the 140 or 147 grade ELD match. Now when I take a live round out of this, the main reason why I chambered it this tight is so the brass has very minimal expansion. He plans on reloading, obviously, so this is pointing in the safe direction. Even though this is a live round, I do not have a trigger on this thing. We're just going to close this thing very slow. So you'll see there's a little bit of resistance when locking down the case, and that is a Benchrest chamber job in my opinion. So the chamber itself is a custom chamber. With this will fit the Hornady brass or the factory ammunition very well, along with the Lapua. This chamber is designed around the Lapua brass, and I think he's going to be very happy with the fitment of this. This will allow him to basically set the reloading die, the full length sizing die, all the way down, and it will bump the shoulders back a thou, if not less. And if he wanted to, he could put a little bit more cam over and get more bump if he needed to. But this kind of chamber that is headspaced this way will minimize the brass expansion, will also give more barrel life. This will be a high rate of volume of fire, I'm assuming, for the Benchrest style of competitions. But again, gives ultimate accuracy in my opinion. With a big truck axle barrel like this, I had to hog out some of the actual fore end on the Wilkes Furiosa chassis using a 27mm socket and 200 grit sandpaper and a lot of elbow grease. Now here's a close-up of the actual trigger hanger. There's a plus 15 degree and a 0. Pretty much allows you to put the trigger onto the action and advance the actual lock timing 15 degrees on the bolt. So this build came out pretty damn nice with the Wilkes Furiosa chassis, the Hawkins Precision DBM M5 bottom metal for a single shot just to fill the void, my signature crown that I do here. This thing actually balances out very nice. So let's see what this thing does downrange. So this contraption you see here is actually an X tripod. It's essentially a Seb Mini Res, and I do have a Protector, a Bumblebee rear bag. Now this is a complete Benchrest build. It's a 30-inch barrel, 6.5 PRC. You're You're basically going to load on the left side and it ejects on the right side. So it does have a trigger hanger in which it does a positive 15, I believe that's a degree, for your bolt lock timing. So it will engage right about 15 degrees more compared to the traditional, which is right about here. So this rifle being fresh off the lathe, Seb Mini Rest, I have 20 rounds of factory ammunition. We're gonna see what this thing does. Let's first get this thing sighted in at 100 yards, and then we'll take it out to 1,000 yards. I'm expecting this thing to not really kick as much, but I'm hoping it does not. So the scope I'm using is a Night Force ATAC-R. So we're gonna feed from the left, it's gonna eject from the right. So pretty simple. You throw the round in there, chamber, and hopefully I can get this on paper here for a shot. Very light trigger. It's got a diamond single stage set about 7 or 8 ounces. I'm gonna kind of free recoil this. Okay, that's on paper. And it does eject fine. So that's good news. Let me make sure my action stop is in place. One thing about it is that I cannot eject a live round. The ejection port is slightly smaller than the overall length of the cartridge. Well, let's see if this thing holds a group here. And that's touching. So second round, first round was low, second round touching the last one. And then let's give it one more shot here. Let's get a 5-round group. Like I said, fresh off the lathe, factory ammo. It's really looking promising already. Okay, first 10 shots out of the rifle. Here's the first 5. First one hit low, then everything started stringing upwards. Then the next 5, point of aim was right here. And those are the 5-shot group with factory ammo. And you can see that thing is starting to perform right about 1/2 inch. I'd say maybe 0.6, maybe 0.58. I don't know. I'll have to get a group measurement. We'll go ahead and give this thing a shot at 1,000 yards, so stand by. Okay, I think I'm all set up. And according to Straight Lock, which if you guys don't know, Straight Lock, it being German, is actually going away. So it's calculating 6.9. We'll go to 6.9 and telling me to hold 1/2 mil left. We'll go ahead and burn up all rest of the 10 rounds here. So you can see I just flop it in there. Let's see if we get an impact here. And that was too much left. Good elevation. We'll cut back. Let's go to 2/10 here. Impact, dead center. You can see how easy it is to load. Well, second round impact, not bad. Dead center. Okay. Could have been wind right there. That went to the right. Hard to judge the wind at this distance. I have nothing really to go by. We'll come back to about 4/10 left. That did hit left side of plate. Right side again. Wind's toying with me out there. Elevation's holding really good, as you can tell. Right side again. That was 1/2 mil hold. So a little bit more wind now. Canting is good. Wow, still the right side. That was 6/10. We're just gonna hold 6 or 8/10 now. Damn. Wind must have really picked up down there. I'm at 8/10 now. Let's go about 1 mil. Low. Well, you can see that this rifle is a complete hammer. Well, really happy to see the performance of this rifle right out of the gate, shooting about 0.5, maybe 0.6 with factory ammo. I'm gonna try to hand load for this thing on another video, but right out of the gate, within the first 20 rounds, I'm out to 1,000 yards. One thing I'm gonna give you guys a close up on is the brass, and I'm gonna show you guys what I see when I look at firing these rifles for the first time, and show you guys why I kind of chamber the way I do, specifically for Benchrest and PRS, mainly for the gas sealing properties and to get a better fitment of the brass. But let's get you guys a close up. So when we take a look at these cases, what I primarily try to look for is any kind of abnormal carbon buildup around the shoulder of the cartridge. So you can see here that these cases all have soot just the neck area. That's telling me that this chamber is fitted very nice for the brass. It's actually getting a good seal, and the pressures are all directed forward of the actual bore. So as I go through this, I look for pressures, obviously, any kind of abnormal scuffing marks, any kind of weird case head swipe or situation when on the brass head to see if there's any kind of weird marks at all. Taking account of the primers. I always shoot factory ammunition first. I want to make sure it shoots factory ammunition well before we get into the hand loading side of it. But you can see everything here seems to be pretty good. Now, some guys are probably going to ask about barrel break-in. Now, one thing that I don't do, you guys are noticing, I'm not really breaking in my barrels like I used to. A lot of that is mitigated through the hand-selected barrels that I use. They're already lapped from the factories. So in my opinion now, with my current builds, I don't really break in the barrel. Now I do inspect the bore with the bore cam to see if there's any abnormality of carbon or copper buildup. I will obviously punch the bore when I get back to see if there's any tight spots in the bore. But that's the reason why I invest in a air gauge tool to check out the barrel, make sure that the bore inside diameter, the bore itself is all uniform. But essentially I just give it some shots down range. If there's any kind of weird accuracy issues that I see, then I go ahead, stop, try to go ahead, punch the bore, or get a bore cam down in there to see if there's anything that is abnormal. Other than that, this rifle shoots very good, and that's basically it. So guys, in a nutshell, you can see that I test every one of my rifle builds, like I mentioned, including the center fire, and it does cost quite a bit for getting ammunition like this. So regardless, my name's on this rifle. I want to make sure it shoots. And I do prove these rifles downrange at 1,000 yards. Punching paper at 100 yards only tells you so much. And to be able to see this rifle perform already down at 1,000 yards is good, promising results. So in a future video, we'll talk about reloading for the 6.5 PRC. We'll get some hand loads worked up with a 140 grain, perhaps a 156 grain burger, and let's see what we could do. So stick around, stay tuned. There's always more videos. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next video.